Hi everybody and welcome back to another Logic Pro X tutorial. Today let's continue our sound experiments and create an 808 bass with the Alchemy synth. My name is Mattias, let's take the tour. Okay, so I prepared a little demo here so we can pre-listen to the actual sound that we're going to create today. So let's listen to this demo and then we'll dive into the actual sound design of this 808 bass. Okay, so let's make a blank patch here so we can start our sound creation. We will make a new software track and we will copy by holding Alt and dragging this or the old bass MIDI to our second track here. Let's open up Alchemy and we will begin by initializing this preset. Okay, so the Alchemy synth consists of 4 different sound sources and we're only going to make use of the A sound source in this case. So we set this one to the sine wave, because 808s are built from sine waves. And we press this global tab and go to our voices tab, because we want to make this a monophonic synth, so we can't play multiple notes at the same time. And we can set the voices triggering to retrigger mode. You can also add a little bit of glide here if you want. And let's pitch this down by 24 semitones. So we have 2 octaves. And I will play a little bit higher here so that you can hear it. That's the basics of our sine wave bass, our 808 bass. And we can go into this sound source A tab and activate the first filter and set this to mech. So the 808 bass is basically a sine wave, but it's saturated in different ways so that you can get this bass to pop a little bit. And especially if you're listening back to small speakers like mobile phones and laptops, you really need to have a little bit of harmonics above that fundamental frequency. At the moment you can see we only have these fundamental frequencies, but we need to add a little bit of frequency content on the top here. So we can do that by adding different amounts of overdrive. And the mech can be used to introduce a little bit of overtones. You don't want to go overboard with this one, just a little bit goes a long way. So that's our first stage of overdriving this bass. Now let's sculpt the amplitude envelope slightly here, because we want to have a little bit of transient and then a little bit of fall off. Can set it to a longer decay, maybe 1 second. So we can add some more saturation to this bass by going into and add a second filter here. So we will add a second filter to this A oscillator and make sure that this one is the tube. Now, if we want this 808 bass to hit a little bit harder and have a kind of knock in the beginning, we can add an envelope to this tuning, to the master tuning. So we press the master tuning and we can add either an MSig or we can have a regular envelope. So let's create a new envelope here, new AHDSR, and it will instantly take us to ADSR number 2. At the moment it's not doing anything, you really need to change the amount here before we can hear any difference, any change. And let's drag this one to maybe 0.4 seconds. And now you can hear that you get that knocking in the beginning of your bass. Let's go to the Effects tab. And here we can add a little bit more distortion. So we can either use the bass enhancer or the distortion here. Let's go for the distortion and add a little bit more tube. And a little bit of mech. And now I recommend that you tune your envelope, your amplitude envelope, to the track that you're making. So let's play this track and we can adjust the AHDSR, the first one, which is attached to the volume. It's a little bit short, so we can introduce a little bit of release. Let's introduce a little bit more glide and hear how that sounds. And now, if you believe that you have a little bit of too much high end from that overdrive, you can always go ahead and add an EQ at the end of the chain. You can either do it outside here in Logic or do it inside the actual Alchemy plugin. So we go to filters and the 3-band EQ, and we can make a really broad EQ here and go down to, say, 2000, maybe 600, 700, and drag down maybe 3 decibels. Yeah, so that's basically a simple 808 bass created within the Alchemy synth of Logic Pro X. If you have any questions on this process, you can go ahead and write any questions in the comment section. If you want to download this patch and some of my other Alchemy presets, you can go to my website, morningdewmedia.com. There should be a link in the description to this video, and you can download a free Logic Pro X preset pack. Okay, now you can continue and watch my next video on the Alchemy synth and Logic Pro X. My name is Mattias and see you in the next video. Bye!